All right, guys, what's up? Welcome to Onelife Podcast. Here with Will. He's a personal trainer, competitive bodybuilder, and you're also doing a lot to help other people as far as rehab, breaking addictions, alcohol, drugs, things like that, correct?
Yes, sir.
And just to be transparent, we did this morning. We've already had this podcast, but I screwed up the audio, so we're doing it again. So
repeat, right?
Repeat. So I want to thank you for coming back and letting us do this.
For having me again.
We had a really good chat, and I want other people to kind of experience this. I didn't want people to miss out. So thank you for coming back. So let's touch on so I know you've got a client. She runs a rehab center, people struggling with addiction, and you're coming in and you're doing some training for those guys, right? Is it women and men?
I just do the guys.
Just the guys.
It's women's the building.
Why just the guys?
And the guys, but in the building that I am, it's just guys.
Okay, so let's talk to me about that again. Run me through.
So everything starts, as you said. Client of mine that made the connection. She's the owner of the rehab center. For people that struggle with drugs and alcohol. Mm-hmm. So the rehab center is Vegas central part of Vegas. Yeah, located Palos Verdes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Flamingo.
Yeah, I know they are.
So so I come there. They do different activities. I'm in charge of the physical part, right? So they have different classes they do on the weekends. So I actually go twice or 3 times a month. So I put a whole setup, and as I talked to you earlier, today, it's one of my favorite jobs. I feel it's pretty fulfilling job.
You're volunteering
seeing
too,
people
right?
that they want to get better, right?
And you're not getting paid. You're volunteering your time.
Yes. So and then these people, they have no interaction. They have no cell phone, no nothing. They go there. They're like kind of checked in there, and they just stay there. So they don't go anywhere. So they, I go there, and then it's interesting, as I told you, that they get everything ready for me. So they have all the the ropes, the kettlebells, the dumbbells, everything is upside already waiting for me, right?
And they've put it there.
Yeah,
and they're encouraging you to punish them.
Yeah, the ones that don't, because it's not mandatory. So the ones that volunteer to do the class, they join the class, and then the rest just walk around the building.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's I always tell them, that I'm very proud of them, because like the ones that join the class, I want to say they are most likely they are really ready for a change,
mm-hmm.
right? Because if you are not really ready to exercise or to do things that make you uncomfortable, because that's where the growth is.
To do anything, quit smoking, quit whatever it is, you need to be ready, right?
Exactly. So and then that's as I said, a pretty fulfilling job. Yeah.
Let me jump in there. So the people at the rehab, are they there by choice because they want to, or are they forced to go, or is it a little bit of both?
The core send them. The core, when they have to.
The court has sent them. Okay.
Yeah. So and then they just join the program, and then.
So some of them are looking to really use this as an opportunity. Other people are still being forced. Okay. And would you say the ones which are working with you are more the ones that are ready for the change?
Yeah. Exactly. There are people that they are clients that they are fighting, trying to get clean because they. Fighting for custody for the kids,
okay.
So there's a purpose.
They got a bigger purpose behind it. Okay.
So it's pretty good how you see then. It's hard, especially, I'm sure like I don't have like addiction problems, but
that's what I was going to say. I've never experienced that, so it must be hard to relate to that.
Yeah, like tough to trying to stop something that sometimes it's hard, right? But I always try to encourage them to put that good energy into something positive, like exercising, right?
What's some of the things? Obviously, like by leading by example, looking the way you do, that being number one. But what else are you kind of teaching them, instilling in these guys?
They do. If I'm not wrong, they do like I think something like art, like classes, like drama classes, mm-hmm. stuff like that too.
Is there anything that you're particularly trying to get across to them? Anything you're saying? Anything you're encouraging them to read or watch or do?
Yeah.
What are you telling these guys specifically from you?
For me?
What are you telling these guys?
To them? Yeah. As I said, usually I said the best medicine for addictions, I'm gonna say it's exercising. It nourishes your body. one of the best things is actually, being able to get physically stronger, but as they also do part of the mental part too, with the activities that I do, that everything is just like when it comes together, they're gonna be feeling better, because it's just not one area. It's a few things,
And as you know, like with exercise becomes mental strength, right?
Mental strength, yeah.
And I feel like that's probably, I've been lifting weights since I was 17. So I feel like the biggest thing I ever got from lifting weights was the mental strength and the discipline and the habits that came with that.
Yeah.
So you think by encouraging them to do exercise, getting them to want to do it themselves, that's they're instilling more mental strength by doing that.
And then the discipline, you're teaching them through exercising how to be disciplined too, right? Like that's one of the things that exercise had done with myself. So I trying to show them that, like a healthy mind, a healthy body, is actually, achieved by sacrifices, that you have to do a lot of work, like within yourself, like it's just not like something that you just like, you wish it and then it's going to happen, that you have to work, you have to work.
And that kind of probably ties into if you're breaking addiction and trying to go a different direction in your life, it's not going to happen overnight. How long have you been lifting weights for? Like,
how long?
How long have you been in the gym for?
Probably more than a year.
No, how long have you been lifting?
15 years. I mean, I've been
a long
exercising
time, right?
15 years, but like I think like religiously, as going like full diet and all, all the stuff, I'm gonna say, since I started competing, so I became more consistent, let's say, that in exercising.
But you understand that doesn't happen overnight, and it takes patience, and it takes a long time.
It takes time.
So I think by these guys exercising and realizing that you can't just suddenly break an addiction, or you can't suddenly have a six-pack, you can't suddenly have 200 pounds of muscle. Anything worth doing takes time, and it takes patience and consistency and habits, right?
Yes.
And you're leading by example, and you're instilling that to these guys, which is amazing. And you're volunteering your time on top of that.
It takes time, for anything that you do in life, it's just, as you said, doesn't happen overnight. Like you have to put it in the work and, be consistent with good habits, right? Like that is about that, incorporating good habits, like by teaching them the importance of exercising, and then that they can experience that they can have a different, that not only drugs give you a good feeling, exercising give you good endorphin, good feelings, like, oh, you can still feel great, but you don't necessarily have to use any substance.
Do it in a healthy way.
Yeah.
What type of questions are they asking you? Are they asking you like diet questions, like
they
protein?
Because they know that I compete too, and
they're probably seeing photos of you.
Yeah,
and
I
stuff.
said, okay, can I see picture of you? And because they don't have access to cell phone or anything, and they stay not for so long. They're for 3 months, and then they go to a different building, right? But the building that I am with, if these people like. I think when I say the harder for them in there, because they don't have access to anything, I think like after they go to the next phase, I guess, they have a little more access to things, right?
Okay.
So then when I show them, pictures of what I do, of what I eat, they're like, they get so excited, you can see the excited of, in their eyes, like how they become so curious about, oh, how long does it take you to get there, And then when they ask me those kind of questions, when I actually take advantage of that to teach them, right? To tell
cool.
them, it takes time, for anything that you want, it takes time. And there are guys that they said, hey, what if like I want to do like an Spartan race, something like that? Do you think like eventually when I get clean and I get a job, could you help me out?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's like, it's interesting. It's like a potential client.
Rather than being a bodybuilder, you're opening their eyes to possibilities in different aspects.
You never know.
Yeah,
you
that's
never
really
know.
cool.
Like, there's always a potential, client out there that when you don't even expect, and when you're actually not even selling or looking for something. Right?
Yeah, that's
just
cool.
Naturally happens.
You've seen Pumping Iron, Arnold Schwarzenegger, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember when he's at the jail? He's at the prison and he's inspiring all these criminals.
Yes.
But I mean, who knows, right?
There he goes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about inspiring others. And someone in a dark place or a hard time doesn't mean it's got to be there forever. And they can be inspired to do different things. So the Spartan race is cool.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say that they don't necessarily have like a big space to exercise. We accommodate ourselves and we make it work. You know what I mean? As I said, at the end of the day, it's about movement. You know what I mean? If we have a small space and it's like a pool that have some like some fences around the pool. So, but I made them do laps around the pool, and there are stairs to go to the second story, so go up and down.
Yeah. Nice.
It's fun. You know what I mean? When I realized, like, oh yeah, I told you earlier that I wasn't ever being the person who does like group classes, but there is something that at the same time that I'm trying to help them, I'm trying to help myself to do something that is out of my comfort zone. Right? Like do, bigger classes and trying to be.
Yeah. I mean, I did personal training for 8 years, but I did a lot of group training.
Yeah.
And I run boot camps and I go down the beach. I have a bunch of girls, teach boxing, teach a whole bunch of stuff. And it pushes you out of your comfort zone because one-on-one is comfortable. I can be safe with you. But all of a sudden I'm standing in front of 10, 20 people leading
and I feel like
group.
I'm a quiet person myself.
So it pushes
I
you.
hear myself, let's go guys, 3 more, 4 more. It's fun.
It makes you grow, right?
Yeah, it makes you grow.
Yeah, because eventually I like to get to a point where I'm speaking in front of thousands of people.
Yeah.
But right now I'm in my comfort zone, one person at a time. But eventually I want to stand there on stage and I want to motivate thousands. So I've got to...
Well, I mean, as there's a say that said, a journey of 1,000 miles requires one single step. So 1 to 1 to go
little
there
increments,
to
little steps,
stage,
one conversation at a time.
Know,
yeah, just by taking action and not making excuses and slowly but surely going the direction you want to go.
Yes, sir.
Let's touch on you. You walk around, you look amazing, you're buff, you're lean, you look great. You're in your 40s, which is amazing because most people in the 20s are obese now, never want to keep in shape in the 40s. Talk to me about like you mentioned you're competing, you've competed. What
journey on that?
Yeah, what got you competing? What do you love about it so much?
So yeah, I started competing in 2017.
2017.
Yeah,
so not too long ago.
Not too long ago. So I actually started as a men's physique. So I do men's physique, like if you for people that don't know, it's the guys that do the board shorts.
Oh, so more the beach body stuff.
Beach body.
I prefer that.
I actually, that's what I wanted it, right? When I start off, and especially by myself being like 5'2", a short guy, I never been my desire to be like huge. You know what I mean? Because I want to have like an aesthetic physique.
I'm on the same page. I much prefer that.
So yeah, and then like I started as a men's physique, and then like I did like 5 shows successfully. I placed top 5 all of them.
Awesome.
And then that makes me realize that there is something that I can do in here, right? So that put the fire on me to keep competing. So and then like in 2020 I crossed over to bodybuilding.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. So it was like 2 years ago.
What made you cross over?
No, I hired a coach when I started competing.
But I mean, what made you want to go from physique to bodybuilding?
What makes me go there? So what happened is like in men's physique, it goes by height, right? So even though I was in class A, I'm 5'2", still I was competing with guys that were like 5'5", 5'6", depending on the show.
Yeah.
Right. So there always was the need of being big.
So your height has a huge advantage.
So and then my coach, the person that I hired for my first show, I've been working with him. So he suggested to me, he says like, well, do you like? I think we should go like bodybuilding. But I always have this thought that bodybuilding was like just big guys. I don't want to be big. I already told you kind of that, right? But it goes by weight. So especially when you are on the amateur level, it goes by weight. My goal is to turn pro. Yeah, I want to get my professional card. Who knows after that? But that's my main goal.
Okay.
in my bodybuilding career. So I went from class weight to weight class, right? So the max weight on check-in for my class is 143 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah. So and then like once you checked in, you can go carve up and you go 140, 150. With 150, to my understanding, to I think like it's my best weight to 150, 152.
What do you weigh now?
And now I'm 160.
160. Okay.
Yeah. So,
Gotcha.
and then it's because I want to keep competing. And if I wouldn't have to compete, I will stay myself in that. But I go off season 10 pounds, 12 pounds to put on muscles. So still have to work around, to build around, and then shrink myself to that weight class.
I got a question. When do you do physique and you're on stage? What's your body fat percentage as a physique competitor?
What is the
what did you get? How low do you get your body fat down to when you're doing physique?
How do you get graded on that?
I know, like what percentage body fat?
I think it was 6%.
Okay, so you're quite
it's
quite
the
lean.
same. You know, I think like they grade you in different, you know, categories. Like in men's physique, it's more like the waist up.
Okay.
Right, it's more like good up, like a nice six pack, tiny waist, broader shoulders.
So you're not worried about having jacked
and
legs.
then bodybuilding goes the whole thing.
Okay, and
know,
it's more proportional.
It's more proportion thing,
okay.
Right? So yeah, that's why I decided to cross over mainly for protocol purposes.
Okay.
Because I think it was more fair for my weight. You know, I was competing with people that were in my weight. It doesn't matter if they were taller, but we were in a weight class.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And I successfully I did 4 national shows, and I got top 5 in all of them. So, and I'm being this close to turn pro, but still in the fight.
Is being a shorter guy, is there an advantage of getting buffer?
I think they said it's an advantage because like
I feel like
you
it's
don't have
easier.
to put a lot of your frame, right? You feel yourself out. You know?
I'm 6'1", and it took me forever
You
to
have
put
to eat,
any
have to
size.
eat,
and I had short friends who just got jacked real quick.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn.
I think I'm gonna say it's probably advantage.
Especially with your legs, I feel.
Especially when it comes down to bodybuilding and
you got such
funny,
a big,
funny because when you realize when you do leg presses, you know, you have longer legs, you have to go full range of motion, and that's more. The more I'm short.
Yeah, you got this short motion.
Sure.
And short guys are so much stronger because of the leverage. Like my arms are this long.
Yeah.
Like your arms are probably here. So you're a lot stronger without even knowing you're stronger. So you're able to get thicker.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, and I always remember like Arnold Schwarzenegger up there on stage next to Lou Ferrigno, same proportion, but just that height.
It's high. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I'm really happy to the way I look, you know, as
which is the most important thing, right?
That's for me is important. You know, every time for me when I compete, you know, I'm trying to bring the best version of you know myself as competition wise refers to though. But and you don't realize that every time that you compete, you realize that you thought you have worked hard enough. The next show shows you that no, there is more room for you to get better. You know, it always goes like that.
Are you pretty critical on yourself?
Yeah.
What do you look at on yourself right now where you're like, hey, this needs to improve? Like, what are your main things you need to improve on right now?
What do I maintain?
What do you need to improve on your body right now? To yourself.
That goes for me. It goes by.
Are your legs too small? Are your rear delts too small?
I ask feedback with my picture every time. You know, when I compete, so I send my pictures to the judges. So the ones who are the panel judges, and they tell you.
God, what do they tell you? So
yeah, they tell me that in my case I need bigger lats.
Okay.
You know, they haven't said anything more about my legs, but I feel personally that I need like a more hammies too.
Okay.
Know? So yeah, more like it's been back, and posing has been for me an issue too though. Posing like men's physique was easy for me, but bodybuilder poses are like 10 poses, mandatory poses that they're harder, you know.
It's a skill set.
And I never been the person who's before. I like probably takes pictures myself, but I know the kind of person who's always like flexing like at the gym, like oh
yeah.
So that's another thing that made me come out of my comfort zone.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like
getting used to posing.
Yeah, but I hired posing coaches too, where I've been working. They're great too, and they're all had helped me to get better. You know what I mean?
That's interesting. I got a question for you. So I always ask the girls. So as a gay man, do you like to date guys who train, who are in shape, or it doesn't matter? Dude, like for me, like I always said this, you know, and for my story of the people that I date, I haven't ever dated somebody that is like have, let's say like a perfect body or like a decent body. You know? I'm always curious because I get these buff females, and then, right? You know why? Because like I always said, I'm the trainer. I can help you get better, but your heart
that can be fixed.
Gotcha.
I'd rather to have somebody that have a good
that's the
heart,
thing you're looking for
have
the
good
most.
intentions,
Yeah.
and you know, the rest, the body, you can fix it. I can fix it.
Gotcha. So
Yeah.
the exterior is not a big deal.
That's not an
Because
issue.
I've had some like really pretty girls in really good shape. I was
Yeah.
like, do you need to date a gym buff?
No.
And most of them say no, they don't care.
I wouldn't want to date like someone like a bodybuilder, because I probably would be go against each other. You know,
I was gonna say sometimes it's gonna be too much.
Yeah,
like having
it's gonna
two
be too
disciplined
much,
people.
and then I like the balance that my partner gave to me. You know what I mean? And we both help people in different ways. You know, so that's pretty cool. You know, that to change the chip when you get home and talk about his job versus. You know,
and not fitness.
Oh, it's just
meal prep,
same,
posing.
over, yeah.
Gets a little bit boring.
The only requirement for me is being like, as long as you have the desire to get better and that you don't dislike fitness, it's a possibility.
Okay.
It's been a possibility. Yeah,
they can't be pulling from
Yeah,
the
because
goals.
you can try to change somebody if the person doesn't have the will to change. Right?
That's super interesting. No, I was wondering what your answer was going to be to that.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe not. For me, it's not a big deal either.
No,
as long as someone's not holding
some
me
people
back.
do that. You know what I mean? But
yeah, you get some couples like gay couples, straight couples. They're just power couples. They live and breathe gym, meal prep. I'm like, it's a little bit too.
Well, my
intense
partner
for me.
helped me a lot too. You know, and I think I've been blessed to. I found somebody that I married last year. And
you got married last year?
Yeah, I got married
awesome.
last year. So,
Congrats.
thank you. So, and then he helps me a lot. Like he packed my food, he meal prepped for me.
Oh, perfect.
It's everything, bro.
Eat that food.
You
You want to get lean, eat.
Yeah, like he's make sure that like he take care of my dreams as the dreams are his. So he helps me.
What more can you ask for,
you
right?
want to win, let's help you win. Let's win together, right? So that's
awesome.
the relationship.
That's cool. On meal prep, you're doing 6 meals, right?
Yes, a day.
What is the average meal? Like, you're doing 6, how many calories are you having? What type of food are you generally
I go
eating?
by the by macros.
You're a macro person.
The amount of protein and carbohydrates and fats. I always been doing like carb cycling.
Okay, so
like there are days that I have higher carbs and lower.
That works really well, right?
Yeah, and I think like that works really well with my body. What I mean? In off season, I'm not as strict as when I am in prep, because prep is a whole different ball game, and I'm really disciplined, But when I'm off season, if I feel like I want to have a cookie, I want to have the cookie, For me, most importantly is to have a balance, like with friends, family, make sure that I have a good life, by enjoying them, and this is the thing, like, because sometimes we said, oh no, I will do it. I won't do it. I do it later, but later is prep. And then when you come on prep, you have to be strict. So if you don't do it there, when are you going to do it?
Okay.
That's the time when you have to enjoy and balance.
As far as like body fat and as far as you'll go off season, how far will you go?
So I think like I'm right now, like 12 to 14, probably. I don't go more than that.
Which is
really? Yeah, I try to stay at least 12 and,
that's what I'm working on.
Yeah.
I can get as crazy and as lean as possible, but for me when I'm just cruising, I need to get down to like the 12, the 11, 12. But I haven't quite made it important enough for me to quite do it. So that's something I'm looking to fix.
So, I mean,
because it's hard. It's
true. I mean, as I said, I think like it doesn't get like super hard for me, because like bodybuilding or fitness for me is not like, it just doesn't really goes to competition life. For me, it goes more like living a lifestyle, right? I get off prep, and then I have always people asking me, are you on prep again? Are you on prep again? Because they always see me with my container, eating. And it doesn't mean that I'm eating broccoli and tilapia. No, it's just good food, like rice and steak, but I don't really know what they eat on a regular basis. That for people sometimes that feel like it's always competition food or kind of like that. In Ecuador we eat rice, fish all the time. Are
you eating at home a lot though? Like, are you cooking at home, or do you eat out much? Like, do you go to restaurants very often or not?
Yeah, I go to restaurants. You
do, but when you do,
I do have like 2 cheat meals a week, on a regular basis.
What is a cheat meal for you?
For me, cheat meal, I like burgers. So
okay.
It's burgers with fries. I do. I'm not a big fan of pizza. I mean, I can eat a pizza, but it's not something that I usually crave. Okay. I like pastries.
Yeah. So what is the go-to
bread,
burger? Is it In-N-Out? Is it
croissants, you know, like a good coffee, and that's for me, you know.
Okay.
Is a cheat meal.
Okay. So you do 6 meals, you count your macros, you're quite consistent. You're not really going over 12 to 14% body fat all year round, which is amazing. And then you're a personal trainer. What do you love about training people?
Training people.
Why do you train people?
Why, you know, I like training. I think like everybody, you know, we all have a purpose in life. And I think like when you live life with a purpose, things are easier and they're more enjoyable. And I guess my purpose is to help people through fitness.
So that is your purpose.
To get healthier, right?
How long have you known that's been your purpose?
How long I've been?
How long have you known that's your purpose in life?
I'm gonna say since I became a personal trainer. So I think I used to serve tables before, and I was just, you know, trying to make a living, let's say like that. But when I realized that I was spending a lot of time in the gym, and I remember this, a good friend of mine told me once, like, he says, like, you should find a job that have to be related with fitness somehow, because like you're always in the gym, you're always working out, but so you spend a lot of time in that, you know, you like to eat healthy, so you need to find.
But here you are serving tables.
And then that's what I did.
Were you happy then?
What's that?
Were you happy, or you're just making money?
I wasn't happy, let's say. I was just like living, you know, without purpose.
Not necessarily unhappy, but not fulfilling.
When you just wake up and you just said like, okay, let's go to work.
It wasn't coming from here. It wasn't deep.
I wasn't probably really passionate about that.
That's a good way. I feel like a lot of people are doing that, right? They're not necessarily unhappy, but they're not living to their true potential or their true purpose in life.
So, and that's when like it comes down to making sacrifices for, you know, going, you know, working from a restaurant and then working for a local gym, and then from the local gym going to do my own thing, you know, like working for myself. So like prior, when I was working for a local gym, I was still working like super early, but now that I'm doing that for myself, those sacrifices are actually more enjoyable because this is for me, you know. I'm waking up like early for me, for, you know, for my business, you know.
How long have you been personal training for?
Been a personal trainer for 10 years.
Oh, for 10 years.
10 years.
Okay.
I work in a local gym for almost 6 years.
So 4 years working for yourself.
Yeah, and then I went independent like 3 years and a half. 3 years.
What's the difference between working as a personal trainer for a company opposed to yourself?
I can't hear you.
What's been the difference between working for someone else opposed to yourself, good and bad?
You know, working for myself, you know, is the best feeling. You know, like you have more time for yourself. You know, you arrange the schedule. You know,
your own schedule.
Yes, yeah. You know, you can take vacations if you want to, so you don't have to ask permission. You know, of course, you know, you just deal with your clients, and pretty much your clients are understanding when it comes down for you to have a little bit of life too, right?
Yeah.
So like working, like before, you know, I working for a local gym before. It wasn't like I was like miserable. You know, I was actually pretty comfortable in a way that if wouldn't be for the pandemic, I wouldn't actually been forced to become independent trainer, which is actually a good thing. You know, it was like an opportunity that happened for me in my case.
Kick in the butt.
Right. So before I was working, you know, 45, 50 hours a week, you know, and I have good benefits, health insurance, pet vacation, and all the good stuff. You know,
how much are they paying you hourly for that? How much were you getting paid per hour?
How much? I think because I was a master trainer, because it goes by all the certifications that you have.
Yeah.
So I was making like 25 an hour.
Okay,
like
so it wasn't bad.
No, it wasn't.
But it was in comparison.
No, my paychecks. I mean, it wasn't, probably for some people it's not much, but I was making like probably in 2 weeks like 5,000, 3,000 sometimes.
Okay, so you weren't making.
So
bad.
I was doing pretty good.
Yeah,
you know? So,
doing well, quite comfortable, doing something you enjoy.
But I always was told, well, you can make more than that. Like if you go independent, you can do this. Like you know, make sure that you just like find a good gym that way you can bring your clients. But there is always the fear, right? You know, when you are.
What was that fear for you?
Yeah, it was scary for me. You know, especially when I went from receiving a paycheck to just doing, and then getting clients that you can potentially meet at the gym for doing everything yourself. Like promoting yourself, like trying to get your own clients. The gym wasn't going to fit you with clients. You have to do everything.
Yeah,
yourself.
paying your rent and
And then unfortunately to say that when I moved I transitioned to be independent trainer, like my clients follow me. I think probably have like 15 people that came with me.
Okay.
And then like after that it was word of mouth. I don't have like a strong social media myself, but I think I do a pretty good job that people come to me like without advertising much.
That's awesome. What I had a question that just slipped. So you had a lot of clients come with you. Did you continue? Do they suddenly pay you what they'll pay in the gym? They pay you that, or
they pay me. Like
oh no, but I mean like. So they were paying a certain amount to the gym, and you were only getting a certain percentage of that. So when they came, did they just start paying you the full amount?
Yeah.
So which is perfect, right?
Oh yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
They're not paying anything.
So straight away you're making more money.
Because I pay the rent in the gym where I am, so they just deal with me. So it's like, okay, I set up my own prices, and I have a little more freedom. Let's say like that, and I'm a pretty grateful person. Like the gym that I start off, it made me. I'm gonna say, I went from being a trainer with no experience. I was lucky to have a good fitness manager that taught me all the things that I knew at that time, and from there I have a good foundation, right? I always, when I started growing, I was like, I was steady, busy, like nothing good. I wasn't, you see, saw a lot of trainers going high and then boom, drop, right? But I always have my good clients there with me, the whole time. So, and then I went from being non-experienced to the number one in my gym. Then I went to be the number one in the Las Vegas district for the company. And then in 2018, I was top 35 out of 5,000 trainers in the nation.
Which is awesome.
So that makes me realize that I was mature enough as a trainer to make the decision to go independent, and that gave me a little more confidence too. Right?
What makes you such a good trainer? Why people recognize you as such a good trainer?
Tell you that I'm gonna say myself that I take care of my people, like genuinely,
In what way though?
I try to teach them that everything goes from body, mind, soul, right? I think there's the three components that goes well together. I'm a person of faith, and for all the experience that I have gone through in my life, I try to tell my story to them, so they realize that like we all had it harder. Like for every goal that you have in life, you have to work harder. Especially myself coming from a foreign country. English hasn't been my first language, and I have to overcome those obstacles. However, it hasn't been the reason why I haven't made things coming to me. You know what I mean? So yeah, like body, mind, soul, try to take care of yourself, your mental health, which is pretty important,
Would you say you're being vulnerable with your clients so they're able to bond more with you? You think that's making a big part of what makes you a better trainer?
It's like, I think like it's the most important thing to be is, again, being real, you know what I mean? Like open up to them. I think like one of the most important things when you build really strong connections to them and you are genuine to them. And I don't hold my deep inside my personal problems, but I tell them things that can help them somehow.
Or they can relate to.
If they struggle with situations like
That's
that.
what I'm trying to do with this. I'm trying to drop my guard a lot, be a lot more vulnerable so people can relate to me a lot more. Because you see me from outside and you don't really know who I am.
Yeah.
And same as you. Oh, this is buff guy who's in shape.
No, I do. Especially
I guess men being men.
I don't know, but I think I have a lot for my dad. My dad, he's a crier. He cries for everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So my dad's the opposite.
And then,
my dad's like your man's man.
When he comes to the United States, when he sees me, he cries. When he leaves, he cries.
Really?
It's like, you ended up, I guess for your parents, you're always going to be the baby. Right?
Yeah.
So, and that, I think I got that from him. I'm very...
Which is probably a really good trait to have. It's probably a really good trait to have.
Yeah.
Where I'm the opposite. I've never seen my dad
I
cry.
just said, if I had to... Sometimes my clients tell me stories that, dude, I start tearing eyes and I hug them. And I think that makes a genuine connection.
You genuinely care.
Yeah, that you
seem like you're going on a deeper level than, hey, this is how you get abs, this is how you get a booty. Like, no, let's get you healthy. True. How's your mental health? How's your faith? Yeah. You're going deeper. So maybe that's what people are recognizing with you. That's what's making you stand out so much. and it's not just about getting paid or the money.
You know, it's like when you really care for someone, you know,
you can't fake it, right?
Yeah,
it shows.
You can see when someone hasn't been genuine, right? And I think like that's what probably the key when people come to me, you know, and they stay with me, you know. I remember I used to say, I mean, one of my managers at the gym that I used to work used to call me Mr. Consistency.
Mr. Consistency.
I used to have, because you used to have it's a contest, right? And then they give you, at the end of the month, they give you like a certificate. And then my nickname was Mr. Consistency. Because I constantly overcome, you know, reaching the same numbers and that's the same consistency, you know, and then like keeping core clients, you know, like retention, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, consistency in life is everything, right?
So that's for me, you know, is you know, it's a compliment, you know, like I've been, I guess I want to say that the word that pretty much define me as a trainer and consistent in my relationship. I'm consistent, you know, in my work, in my career, with my clients, with everything. You know, that's probably the reason why that I am where I am. You know?
No, that's interesting. I like that a lot. What, as far as working for yourself, what has been some of the hardest things that you've had to struggle with? You go from this making decent money, having a clientele, all of a sudden doing it by yourself. What's been some struggles for you? I mean, it hasn't always been easy, right?
Oh no, it hasn't been easy. You know,
what's some mistakes you've made? Things you would have done differently?
Situations like everybody else, you know, in life, and like bad breakups and stuff like that. That like coming from, you know, I remember when like probably 3-4 years ago, I was, you know, done in a relationship. I have a bunch of debt, you know. I still was working for somebody at that time, you know, and the minute when something hits me, I decided to do some work for me. So I says, you know, this time, you know, I don't want to jump into the right person. I want to make sure I take care of myself financially, spiritually, physically, in so many ways, you know what I mean? And I went from, you know, working for somebody and owing like $55,000 to become independent and paid off all that debt in 3 years. So in that last year, I actually, at the beginning of the year, I wrote down my goals, and one of my goals was that I wanted it to be financially, you know, have financial freedom, and I made it. So I walked into 2023 without no debts, you know, and that's one of the benefits of probably being my own boss and, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Have you ever, you know, Steve Harvey?
Huh?
Steve Harvey?
Yeah.
You know
Steve Harvey, yeah.
Have you read his book?
No, I haven't.
He's, in his book, his accountant screwed him over $2 million.
Yeah.
So he found out he owed $2 million at the end of the year. And rather than complaining about it or whatever, he's like, by the end of next year, I'm going to clear this debt. And he made himself, it might have been $20 million. It was a significant amount of money. And he found a way of making this extra money. I'm pretty sure it was $20 million now I say it. $20 million in 1 year to clean his debt. And just what you're saying reminds me of his story. Yeah. Just like taking something that's bad that you didn't have a choice with and turning it into something positive.
And on that too, like, you know, I remember like putting all my pain into fitness, you know, and competing, you know. I think like I felt like I was like I came from the ashes, you know, once you compete, you know, probably everybody that compete understand, you know, the way you feel when it's over, you know. Like I think like when you get it done, you feel like you can do anything in life, you know. Going through physical pain because it's stress that you put in your body, you know. It's also mental, a lot of mental, you know. But that makes you stronger, you know, in the end, right? So like I put all that, like, let's say, pain into that and put it into something positive, right? In the end, right?
No, I like that a lot. Yeah. I just had something. I keep the problem is like when you do interviews and you really try to listen and you'll think of something that you don't want to interrupt.
Yeah,
and it's this skill of trying to remember something without. Oh, that's what it was. So you and I are both immigrants, different countries, and we had a good chat earlier about the perspective and the appreciation being an immigrant, coming to a different country, how hard it can be not having family or support here. remember we had a good chat about that.
Yeah.
So I want to touch on that again. So being an immigrant, and for me, like Australian, we speak English. So that was a lot easier for me.
It was, you know,
But you didn't even speak English, right?
You know, I do. I moved to the United States when I was 25 years old, and quite honest, probably one of my I feel like obstacle, I'm gonna say, that is being the language. You know what I mean? I try my hardest, but I always try to tell myself that, remember, you weren't born here. You're still doing your best. You know what I mean? Like your native language, you're fluent in Spanish. Yeah. So that's your language. Right. So this is something that you are adding into your life, right? I do speak also Portuguese and French too. So I went to school.
Most people can't speak one language.
So most of the people, they don't even speak more than one
I speak one language. You know full stop.
So then for me, it makes me different. It makes me unique. You know what I mean? And I want to say that not even the language is probably an obstacle when you want to achieve your dreams. You know, I've been working in places where I've only been the only Latino, and I've been killing it myself with the English that I have.
That's awesome.
So it hasn't been something that have derailed me. You know, I mean, is it hard? It's not easy. Of course, you know, when I went to take my courses to be a trainer, you know, you came across with vocabulary that is hard. You know, that is more like going into like a anatomy and words that you never heard before.
Yeah.
And it's hard. So it's easy to have a conversation as a friend, but when you go more into science, that's a whole different thing.
I could imagine.
But however,
it's hard for me.
I pass. It's just like, you know, that makes you realize you have skills, you know, that you can always get better. You can read more, you can get, you know, you can learn.
What's the growth, like the personal growth being like being in a different country by yourself without the support? Like I know what I've been through and I know how it's helped me grow. What's it done for you?
So like help me, you said?
Yeah, I mean the struggle of being in a different country alone.
I think like
and the personal growth that's given you.
As a main struggle, you know, is especially, you know, when you are away from your family and then the holidays come, you know what I mean?
It can be quite lonely, can't it?
Yeah, you know, it's kind of hard. But I always, when I was in my country in Ecuador, I moved to a different city. So I was, it gave me a lot of independence. So when I moved by on my own, of course, it was hard to not have any support, you know, your family, you know, when you start, your journey in a different country. But I also have found myself, you know, good friends and good clients that had turned into family to myself, you know what I mean? But like as a main struggle, I mean, if you ask me right now, I wouldn't say probably, you know, not having them close to me when I feel like I needed like a hug or something, you know what I mean? Like,
or someone to turn to.
Yeah.
And also for me, like when if my car broke down, or just the ability to call someone close, and to not have that at first, you're like, hey, I've got to figure this out myself.
I come from I'm a family person though. Like I come from a big family where holidays, especially for me, is kind of the hardest part because like we all get there, you know, and together and as in anywhere, you know, but it's very it's very hard, you know. It's, you know, when you come to a different country and then probably you couldn't make it to come back in that year, and then that's you yourself, you know, and everybody's
knowing everyone else is
and then
together.
you're just you know.
Yeah.
But I try to think also the positive and say, you know, you are where most of the people that are in your country wanted it to be, you know, and you came through the big door to the country, so that's a blessing, right? So
it's hard when you see people who have got family in town, they don't appreciate it, they take it for granted, they're saying negative things, and like, you guys, like, my family's at the other end of the world. You guys got to really, like, it gives you perspective. It gives you true perspective and appreciation. And I appreciate Australia and my family a million times more now than I ever would have if I didn't leave them.
When you realize that when you are away from home, you know, you appreciate, as you said, you appreciate more things, your family, you know, your parents.
Even just your home country,
even when
right?
you were younger, when you were upset, I'm going to leave, you know, and then you realize that when you are on your own, and you said, you know, I wish I probably hadn't said that or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Because like, you know, I love my parents. We have a good relationship, and I like to share my success with them too, even though they don't need it. I support them. I the best I can, when they need me, I help them financially, and that makes me happy. That fills my heart. I feel like I'm doing good stuff, in life, not only for me, for them, right?
Yeah, I like
because
that.
they help me at some point.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
can share what I have with them right now. Right? As a matter of fact, my parents never ever traveled in their life till I actually moved to the United States, and I helped them to get visas. My parents
Gotcha.
came to see me. Was the first time they stepped on a plane, and then
So you gave them permission, encouraged them
so
to
and
do
they,
more.
show them for me
That's interesting.
this world, and probably, Americans that really sometimes, don't understand because this is your land, and you don't, especially you as me that were outside, people want to come here, right? And then like for them coming in here and I show them all these, it's make them happy. So to see, oh wow, can we go this? Can we do that? It's a whole different world for them. Third countries we don't have what we have here. You know what I mean?
100%. So I want to touch on that. So Australia, we have 24 million people in the whole country, and I think we have 7, maybe 8 airports in the whole country. So when you're in America, getting on a plane is such a normal thing. And I remember the first time I was on a plane in America, it landed, it dropped some people off, and it took back off again like a taxi. And that blew my mind. In Australia, you go from A to B, and that's it. There's no getting back up and flying again. So like that's what I mean as far as perspective and not appreciating and appreciating things.
It's
planes are like
about,
taxis.
and again, I think like I my life is full of gratefulness. I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to for the thing that had happened to me that had made me the man that I am right now. Even though at some point caused me pain, I'm grateful for that too, because there are lessons. Lessons that makes you better in life. And as I was telling you earlier in the morning, that I enjoy even the little things. I think this is the key, I guess, in happiness, and enjoying little things, like just sipping some coffee. If you like coffee and you enjoy that moment, that's happiness. It's right there.
Sometimes you need to
having a roof.
Sometimes you need to stop and reflect at just having a coffee. How grateful you can be for that. How much you can. I love my coffee.
I love me too. In the morning,
I look forward to my coffee,
and then look. I have a big window at the house, and I see through the trees and stuff, and I sit and just by sitting there having warm clothes and coffee, and giving God thanks for another day, that's already makes me happy. You know what I mean?
I literally posted a video the other day, and I was like, just having perspective. And I go to Starbucks a bit just because it's convenient, and I see these baristas getting teared apart by people. Oh, you got my coffee wrong. Why am I still waiting? You got my frappuccino wrong. And they're abusing these poor girls and these guys. And I'm like, you got to keep your perspective. You live in America. You live in a first world country. You're wearing clothes.
That's
You came from a house, in a car, on the way to a job, back home. You're not cold. You're not hot. You are completely comfortable 24/7.
Not only things like, besides what you said, like even traveling, traveling, not even outside the country or traveling to a different state. Everyone has the possibility to pay a trip and pay for hotels and stuff like that. That's a blessing.
There's an airport 5 minutes from here where we can get on. You and I can get on a plane right now and fly anywhere we want.
Yeah,
and it's 5 minutes away.
Yes,
and it's affordable.
Exactly,
it's insane.
So and then not everybody does that, and that's what I said. When I do things like that, I feel pretty blessed, because it's for me, as I told you also earlier, it's just like I work to live, I don't live to work.
Which I love that. Yeah, I love that.
And I try to, for the most part, I know I don't have a lot of money, but the little that I have, I think like God gives me enough to have a good life, and I'm grateful for that.
How much different is back home opposed to America? Like your home country, how different is it compared to here?
How far?
Oh no, how different is it? How different are the countries? As far as like opportunities, like
My country, yeah, here. Sorry, you know, I have a bad hearing. I
No,
can't
no,
hear what
you're
you said,
fine.
but,
I mean, how different is it? How?
it's, you know, it's a third country. I mean, things have been getting better in there. You know, I can tell you by the experience when I used to work, you know, there I graduated from a private school. So, and then I was able to find a job working in an import and export company. And I wasn't at that time, I remember I wasn't making like $500 a month.
How much?
500.
A month.
Yeah, and then I have a degree. So then you see, like, it's
500
not much.
with a
500,
degree
you can make it here like
for a 40-hour
2 days,
week.
3 days, right? But the point is, like, it's still like the economy makes you live. You know, it makes it affordable for you. Like at that time, like let's say like a lunch is like $1.25, right? Like to live in an apartment with roommates, you can pay $150, $125
A month.
a month.
Okay.
So and then you do the math. It helps you live, but it's hard for you to buy a car, right? So you want to buy a car unless you work year for the company or you work for the government and you have you know, like pretty good, you know, positions, and you know, and then that set you up for, you know, a better life, I guess. You know, but
interesting.
But I do always have the dream to come here, you know, since I was younger. You know, I have family here in New Jersey, and I always see my cousins, my aunt traveling back and forth. She said, you know, one day I want to go there. You know what I mean? And I went to school. I did this is the thing too. Like I have the choice to immigrate to Spain because, you know, there was a bad recession in 2000 in Ecuador, and everybody immigrated to Europe. So I was in my last year of high school. Okay. So I have my brothers and sisters. They went there
to Spain.
Yeah, they live in Spain, in Madrid.
Gotcha.
Now. So and then like I have the choice to, after finishing, and at that time they didn't require visas or anything. You just can go there and stay if you want. You know.
Interesting.
So I decided no. I said, you know, I want to be the only one in my family that want to go to school, and that's why I decided to go to university. Okay. So I went to. I always was a good student too. That helps too. You know, my brothers and sisters, they paid for my education. They helped me pay for my education.
It's expensive.
I went to a school because the career that I wanted, there wasn't on the university from the state. So and then it wasn't a private school university. Okay. So and then I went to that one, and the good thing, like I have like sort of like a scholarship because I have good grades from school. Okay. And then they charge you based on your income from your family. You know what I mean? Really? And if you study or you went to high school that was from the state, your tuition wasn't going to be that high. So that was on my end was good for me. You know? Okay. So yeah, so I was like, I went to study, so I went to go to America one day. So and then I finished my career. I actually, before finishing, I was able to do 2 internships here in the United States. So I traveled two times before I finished. And once I finished, I was hired from Ecuador to work for Marriott in Miami. Oh, nice. Yeah, so that's how I came.
How cool is that?
So yeah, they was like, okay, you know.
How cool is
then
that?
My parents, you know, it wasn't, I think like the most satisfaction that I probably have ever experienced is like see my parents see me graduating from school, because none of the kids, they did. It was only myself. Yeah, you know what I mean? That's cool. And then my dad cried. Oh, really? He saw me, you know, because this is the thing. I don't blame them because, you know, I come from a humble family, and then my dad especially, he used to sell the stuff in the street when he was a kid, and then he didn't believe in education not because he didn't want it, because he didn't have the opportunity, you know.
He's never seen it.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, as you didn't have it, you probably couldn't encourage your kids to keep on that, right?
Yeah, they say that a lot. If you grow up in a bad area, you don't see anything else besides your environment. Therefore, you don't know anything else is possible. Social media helps a lot with that now, but doesn't matter what race you are, or what country. If you're in a bad area, you're governed by your environment. And if everyone's a drug dealer or everyone's a criminal, chances of you going to school, getting a degree, and moving away from that town is pretty much next to impossible, because you just see what you see. Yes. And even for me, I came from a very small town, not a lot of opportunity, and it's a great place, beautiful place, but no one really does anything besides become a mechanic or a plumber, or it's not, you're not going to be in Las Vegas running a podcast and dancing on stage that's not ever, no one does that. So you don't think there's anything beyond that.
So It's funny that you say that because about the jobs, because the first time that I came from my internship, I was 17, I think. It was first time. And I was sent to the Grand Canyon, and I remember that it was winter. So it was super cold. It was my first time out of my country, warm country. So I came to snow straight, right?
Yeah.
And I remember I think I got like a flu, in the mid of like coming to the United States. And I think it was 2 days or a day before Thanksgiving. So could you imagine the madness in the restaurant, like how busy they were? So I supposed to be a busboy, I remember, because it's internship where like they put you to work in environments where you are forced to speak English, so you can learn, right? And then you do like 3-4 months, and they still pay you, and then you go back. So and then I started. I think they were super busy, so they couldn't train me right away. So they said, okay, tonight you're gonna scrape dishes. Oh my God, dude! I remember all these waiters coming and drove this straight, and I was like overwhelmed with all this. I was like super bad. I was sick. I was feeling sick. My throat hurts and everything. It was like I was in tears. Like, I didn't come to America for this. But it's a good
the immigrant story, right?
Exactly, it's a story. That then now that I'm older, I remember that. And as I said again, we're blessed to do what we do, because not to discredit what people do in the kitchens or whatever. It's hard work, though.
Yeah,
it's hard work for me to be able to have my own business and to do something that I'm passionate about. That's for me is everything. Right?
I love looking back at the stuff that I hated the most, and it makes I hate it so. I can remember so many things that I hated when I was young, and looking at the clock and watching the minutes count down, and just wishing your life away. And having those moments makes me appreciate so much more. Being able to sit here and have this conversation with you, all the people I've met, all the experiences that I've created for myself by realizing that I'm in control of my own life. I dictate what happens or what doesn't happen. I dictate how I feel. I dictate the way I look. I dictate the money I make. And a lot of people will never get that. And it really upsets me. And that's half the reason behind this podcast is how do I educate more people to realize that if you're scrubbing dishes and you don't want to be there, you don't have to be there. But only you and you personally can change that. No one else is going to knock on your door. No one else is going to present you that opportunity. You need to change that for yourself.
I remember I realized, I wanted to be a trainer. So what did I do? So I signed myself in a course, and I went through schooling, like trying to get a certification to be a trainer. Now that once I get a trainer, how did myself can help myself to be a better trainer? So I get more certifications. So I got a senior certification, a juice certification, corrective exercises, nutrition. So I was getting education as I went, through the time, and trying to make myself better from one starting point, right? That's I still, this education never ends. You can always, acquire more knowledge, from everywhere, and that's why, like, your quality of life improves too at the same time.
100%.
Right?
I literally read 60 books per year, every single day. I knock out 60 business books, entrepreneurial books, motivational books, nutrition books, whatever it is. 60 books a year. And now I also sit down with 50 to 100 guests for an hour and a half apiece and pick their brain.
I know.
Am I somebody who wants to be stagnant in life, or am I somebody trying to conquer the world? True. And I don't mean in an arrogant or a cocky way. I just want more for myself, and I expect more for myself. And to do so, I know it takes action. I've just got myself a business coach for that same reason. I want more. I want someone to hold me accountable and push me further. That's where you come in. You're a trainer. That's why you do what you do.
And as I said, that's what I also myself, in order for me to compete and because I wanted to do it right, I hired a coach myself because I wanted to invest not only in my body for him to make me look great, let's say like that. It's also because as when you work with somebody else, it's like an internship, right? You're trying to learn from somebody else, so you can also apply that into your career and make yourself better, right?
And it's a blueprint.
Yeah.
Opposed to throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. Yeah. Someone who knows more than you is guiding you in the right direction.
As I said, I'm pretty humble. I don't know everything, but as I said it again, like I try to do things with my heart. I feel like when you put your heart in things, that you love, like the result is obviously, it's obviously good. You know what I mean?
And you seem like the type of man who leaves their ego at the door. and 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. You listen more than you speak. You ask the right questions. You're not scared to and ask the right people for guidance, right? Because if you're constantly speaking and you're never listening, you stop learning. You know what I'm saying? You always want to be learning. There's always someone who knows more than you.
It's in the minimal things, you know, like again, like trying to make yourself uncomfortable in situations that make you uncomfortable, right? That's where, you know, the growth is, you know, like as you had heard that, you know, multiple times. But I do believe that is true, though. You know, I believe like that sometimes things that had scared me at some point, you know, I have done it, and then once I did it, that fear is gone. So and then you move on into the next scary thing, and then once you get it done, okay, I get that, so I can do the next things, and that's how life goes. You know, if you feel like you're gonna have everything like in a gold play, easy, it's not gonna happen.
If you're not
whatever, it's like they said the saying that like if your dreams don't scare you, it's because they are not big enough.
Yeah. So I like that. So do you do anything on a daily basis do you do something daily that makes you uncomfortable, or you just set goals here and there that make you uncomfortable?
You know, like I think like try to set up myself goals like personally, like, you know, for instance, I feel like I'm not good in cameras and things like that, but I force myself in doing it.
Trying to get on more present on social media.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge one, right?
Yeah.
When you put yourself on camera, it's uncomfortable.
If I mess it up, I'm sorry.
But that's a really good example. Putting yourself on camera makes everybody uncomfortable.
Yes.
And the more you do it, the better you get. Here I am running this podcast. Who am I? I'm nobody.
Yeah.
But here I am doing it.
Yeah. So,
I mean,
that you are helping me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, believe it or not, there is something that I want, but at the same time, when you're winning, that you're being part of that. So you're doing good things too.
Yeah,
you're helping me.
I'm kind of guiding you.
You're guiding me.
I've had some big buff dudes sit in that chair, and they've told me beforehand, "Hey, I'm really nervous."
Yeah.
And it's cool, but here they are, and they've done it, and they're like, "The reason why I'm doing this is because I didn't want to do this."
Yeah.
And we went and did a cold plunge the other day at the lake. 48 degrees. It was raining. It was terrible. It was windy. And one of my friends, he's like, "I don't want to do this." I'm like, "Because you don't want to do this is why you should be doing this." And he did it, and he did an amazing job. So that's just an example of when you don't want to do something, that's when you really should push in and do it, because that's where the growth comes.
I mean, you know, there are techniques, you know, when you actually take a big, like deep breath or things like that, like breathing, anything. And as my competition, like, you know, I put myself on a stage of thousands of people. And I think nerves are always going to be there. You know what I mean? Like I don't like, if I know wrong, probably 9 shows, and it still feels like the first one when you do it, right? You know, and, it gets better, you know, practice. I always say, you know, when you practice, like things get easier, you know, and it's in anything, in any area of your life, it's always going to be something like that, right?
And you always got to be striving for that
you
next
gotta,
thing.
yeah, improve, right?
Before we finish up, you've probably trained hundreds of clients over the years. What are some of the biggest success stories and the biggest things that remember?
My clients?
Yeah, that's really
I think like
really makes you proud.
Yeah, one of my best informations is being, you know, one of my clients, he's a lawyer. So he came to me, he was 360 when he came to me. And then we naturally knock off 160 pounds. So he came to 200 pounds, right? And they're all naturally. I remember that, again, part of the success also for him was me knowing that the whole meal prep business, you know, I used to cook for clients before.
Oh, really?
So that was something that I forgot to mention earlier.
Really?
I used to cook for clients.
I've never heard that before.
I was busy training people, and in the weekends, making 50, 60 meals a week for clients, you know.
What a cool service.
I cooked for this person.
Were you charging for it?
Yeah. So it was like
I never heard that before.
Extra, you know.
That's a cool business model.
Yeah, it was a whole new business. So I cooked for this person for a whole year. So and then like, it really tells me again that you can lose whatever way you want if you really knock off your nutrition. You know what I mean? Like
100%.
Like when somebody wasn't even training, it wasn't even probably as big as this person and couldn't even drop a pound sometimes, because you're always going to have people like that. It was telling me that the person wasn't doing what I was telling him to.
Yeah.
Right. So there is no way, that this person is eating this, this way, and then you're eating this. That's asking you to do the same way, and you don't do it. Right.
So this is a touchy way of saying it, but you never. And people, I'm big bone. I've always been overweight. I'm always going to be this way. Nobody ever comes out of a concentration camp or a prison of war camp overweight. And I know that's a very extreme way of putting it, but if you don't eat a certain amount of calories, you will lose weight.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
no such thing
that's
as
the
big
guy.
bone.
This guy.
It's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All these a million excuses. It's not.
No.
It's
That's why,
all
like,
up
when
here. It's all
I
BS.
learned in my career as a trainer that I always listen to my client. I don't fight. I don't try to make them feel like they are lying to me, but I know deep inside what's the truth.
Yeah,
period.
if you control the food, which you did, it got results.
So and then he dropped this weight, and then he went from being obese to being fit, and then again, his main goal that he wanted to drop this weight was because he was a single dad at that time. He had separated from his wife, and he was afraid of dying, like in a heart attack or something, and he didn't have anybody to take care of the kids.
Gotcha.
So that's why his motor, his fuel for him to keep on going.
That's cool.
And then he did it. So as let's say as a success story, years goes by and they kind of there was like unfinished business in there, and they get back together. They remarry again, and they are now living a happy life together back again.
So he bettered himself. He saved his own life, and then he got his wife back.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
It's beautiful. You know what I mean? That's like personal satisfaction.
It's like a movie, right?
When you again find the purpose why I do what I do.
That's awesome. Is there any other things you can think of that you've seen that you've really transformed? Like if someone started a business or someone started dating or something that just stands out to you with all your clients over the years? Like
a different story?
Yeah, just something. I mean, I can think of a couple stories when I was a trainer.
Well, I do have a senior client. I think I told you too that she's almost 80 years old. And then she trains consistently with me for years. Since I used to work in,
How many years
I said local gym because I don't want to give promotion to the gym.
Yeah, no.
So I used to work in this local gym. So I met her in there. So she followed me when I became independent. But one of the beautiful things about this woman, and I have so many reactions on my stories when I post about her, the exercising, because she's consistently coming 3 times a week, for years. And then she does yoga twice a week. And then her quality of life have improved a lot too. You know what I mean? To the point that she even take care of her husband. Her husband is a little younger than her, and then he have more issues than her. Let's say like that. So she's pretty strong. She does.
What progression do you see in an 80-year-old lady?
Yeah.
What type of progression have you seen? You're training her. How many years have you trained her for?
3 days.
Oh no, how many years have you trained her?
Since I used to work in the origin for probably 6 years probably.
So he's trained her for 6 years, gone 3 times a week.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
What have you seen her progress in at that age?
So I'm going to say...
Because I feel like people get to a certain age and my life's over, I'm never going to progress.
Good that you asked that. The good thing that you... that I see from her, besides dropping weight, that, I'm that's when, I have that was the main goal when she started. She wanted, to have a stronger bones, for bone density and all this stuff, be more flexible and all the things. But when she was younger, she broke her arm, and then somehow she didn't have so much strength when she picked it up, the coffee.
Oh, okay. She struggled a bit. Yeah.
So she was going to pour a gallon of milk. So she couldn't. So she had to use the other hand in order to pour milk. So the goal was that, as simple as it was, to build a strength on the arm where she was able to wrap the whole gallon and put the milk, and we did it.
I love it.
And we did it. Oh yeah, beautiful.
That's amazing.
So and then that, for me to hear in them say, "Oh my gosh, I was able today to put the milk with my hand,"
It's so
same woman,
You know what's so funny is you and I take so many things for granted.
Yeah.
So opening a fridge door or getting off the couch or opening a jar. It's little things that, because we've trained for so long, we don't ever think about it. And I remember moving a couch with a roommate in my early 20s, and we were carrying it from one unit to the other across the street. And he had to stop like 10 or 20 times. I'm like, bro, why? What are you doing? We're just carrying this light couch. But you take these things for granted when you train. Yeah. And she's probably, a lot of pain has disappeared. Probably all these little things that you think you're stuck with for the rest of your life that you don't have to be stuck with. And you and I being in our 40s, I still feel like I did when I was 20. I don't know about you. I still feel exactly the same.
I feel like I even feel and look better when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
I think like I live in my best years.
Feel and look better.
Oh, yeah.
And when you're 60, you know you're going to feel and look better than you do today, right?
Yeah, I always say like age is just an number. Like we are our energy. Yeah, I think if you have good energy, that's what it is. You know, age is just...
I don't think people quite get it. They think I'm in my 40s, therefore I got to act like I'm in my 40s. No way.
I think like
I refuse.
I think like the best scene personally in my life, because I think like it goes by phases, right? Like I think I the 30s, the last years of my 30s were, I want to say, was the best year for me. You know, I get married. I paid off my debts. You know, I became independent trainer. I doing all things for myself and blah blah blah. Right. So I think like probably because we become wiser in our decisions. You know, we appreciate more the time that we have, and we don't want to waste that time. So we value things more. You know, so I want to say, because of that.
No, I started modeling and doing fitness comps when I was 30. I won my first comp when I was 30.
Yeah, there you go.
I started modeling when I was 29. I was in Thunder Down Under when I was 31. So I started, I mean, and now 10 years later, I still feel the same. I can still get in the same shape. I'm still kicking and punching focus mitts the same as I did 10 years ago.
I felt like my 20s, I was still like...
You're such a pop.
I was trying to accept myself. I wasn't that... years. It was kind of like hard for me at the time, because that was when I made this decision. Like, what am I going to do? Am I going to leave? So that's for me, like, it came through the time, especially for myself. Like, the older I get, it's like probably, it's like the wine, the older the wine, the better it tastes.
The more mature it is.
The more maturity it has, the better it tastes.
Yeah.
That's for me. Not only physically, I want to say, just like a metaphor. And general.
Metaphor, yeah. No, I totally agree. And I think too, like, you and I have trained our entire lives, but I want people to realize that they are our age. It's never too late to turn it around. Someone like you, all they could do is reach out, hit you up, do a couple sessions, you get their diet on check. And now suddenly the 40-year-old who's feeling like the 60, 65 can now suddenly feel like the 25, 30 again. You'd agree with that? That at any age, someone like you can turn their life around, right?
Yeah.
Including themselves.
Well, yeah, it's, definitely, especially,
But I feel like a lot of people think, I'm 40, I've always been overweight, I'm unhealthy, this is just the way
like
life is
they base like the decision based on their age.
They've just kind of given up.
No, I mean, again, I use my senior client as an example.
That's what I'm talking about,
I have
right?
this person because I think one advantage on my, let's say, on my clientele is that I have like youth and I have senior. So I have
like
one side, the whole, whole ages, and then I usually use examples when, you feel like, his age is not a problem, it's never late to start, it's never late to start. It's always, it's never going to be the perfect time to start, it's like you have just to make a decision, like right away, and exactly, find the right people to guide you. If you feel like you don't know how to do it, like, that's why there are professionals around. If your body break down, where do you go? To the mechanic, right? It's the same. If your body is trying to break down, where do you go?
I like that. I like that a lot.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's the same situation. So unfortunately, like, some people see training also as a luxury. They feel like training is a luxury.
It's more of a necessity.
Yeah, it's more vanity.
Yeah.
But it's not really, it's not everybody want to spend in their health when, you will have, certain prices that a trainer is going to charge you. So do you rather take that, or do you want to take a high hospital bill? It's
or
still
a pill a day for the rest of your life, or be a diabetic, type 2 diabetic,
exactly,
or whatever it is. Or it may cost you this much now, but it's going to cost you a lot more later down the line, right? So however you want to justify it or look at it, you've got to think like your health is your wealth. Your health is the most important thing.
As I said, you can start at any age, and as long as you have the desire to get better, you have the will to get better. You know what I mean? It will happen with the time. So it's just that for whoever that doesn't really know how to start like a healthy lifestyle, and again, like a journey of 1,000 miles, start with one single step. Why? What you can do first, exercise, drink more water, try to check, what is good as healthy wise in your kitchen, like try to get rid of all the food that triggers you, you know what I mean, the sugar, things like that.
And you and I didn't have technology when we started.
Huh?
We didn't have technology when we started. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have phones. We didn't have apps. It has never been easier to do anything, especially the health side.